Hammertime.
What's up everyone and welcome back to another Hammertime video. Today we're going to be reviewing this D-Way 5/8 bottom bowl gouge. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so first things first, this is a 5/8 gouge from D-Way and it's made in the US, and so that's why this is considered a 5/8 gouge, because in the US you measure the width of the actual diameter of the steel, the round bar. In the UK is the actual width of the flute, which in this case is a half inch, and this is 5/8 with the diameter, which is the diameter. And this is a U-shaped flute here, and this is actually really good for the bottoms of bowls. Now, standard it does come with a 50-degree double bevel grind. Now the 50-degree double bevel grind is great, but I actually switched it to a 60-degree grind, which works really great for me, and I find it just a little easier to control, and it leaves a little smoother surface when you're just going nice and gentle across the bowl, because I feel like you can take a little finer of a cut, because the 50-degree, has a little bit more angle to it. The 60 is pretty blunt angle, so you're gonna have to keep the tool pretty flat, which is great for the bottom of bowls because you don't want it to take off a bunch of stuff too fast, and you want it to leave a nice smooth surface, which I find the 60 double bevel is a great option for that. And I did a 40-degree secondary bevel, and the primary is 60. So why would you use a bottom bowl gouge? Well, the main reason is when you're using a bowl gouge that has a fingernail grind to clean out the waste of the inside of the bowl, you're going to be using the right-hand wing of the gouge if you're looking at it from the handle side of the gouge. And you're going to be pushing that in using the wing to cut the actual bulk of the material away. Now, once you're done, you're going to be left with a bunch of ridges in the bowl if you don't clean that up with the fingernail. Now, if you try and clean it up with the fingernail, you're most likely to encounter some issues like the fingernail gouge actually kind of catching on the piece because the tip is so pointy. The bottom bowl gouge fixes this problem. It's actually a traditional grind, so you can use it on the outside of a bowl too, because it's a straight up grind. Now, I prefer a fingernail for the outside of a bowl, but that's just your personal preference, really. And then why it has a straight up grind, there's more of a wing here. There's less wing actually to catch, and there's more tip that allows you to go smoothly across the bottom of a bowl. Now, when you're using a fingernail, you're most likely going to have the tip just catch. With this, you're not going to have that issue anymore. Now, why a fingernail normally requires a jig to sharpen, the bottom bowl gouge does not. You can use a jig somewhat, maybe like a pocket jig for the very grind. That is used with the very grind, just using the pocket, the V-arm, but I prefer not to use that, and I just do it freehand. So let me show you just how I sharpen this. So sharpening the gouge here is really simple. I just have this white aluminum oxide wheel on my grinder. I would prefer CBN, it leaves a nicer edge I think, but this is just a 60 grit wheel, works just fine. I haven't really had any issues with it, and the tool sharpness seems to work fine on this M4 too. But realistically, you have the platform set at 60 degrees. I made this little setup block here, and it's 60 degrees here. I've set it. And then you're gonna place the tool flat on the rest here, and push it up to the wheel, and you're just gonna keep it straight and roll it side to side, and you can add a little swing just to keep the wings back. But realistically, you want that, you just keep rolling, and it's gonna grind your wings back a little bit. So you can really keep it just perfectly straight and grind it at 60. For the secondary bevel, you're going to want to set this to 40 degrees and bring it up, and then roll the secondary bevel. You can do the secondary bevel before or after, it really doesn't matter. Just whenever you start to notice the secondary bevel getting kind of small and you might be hitting it a little bit, then it's time to add a secondary bevel. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to sharpen this. So just let the grinder get up to speed, and you can just press this up against the wheel. Just one or two passes gets the job done real quick, and you're left with a really clean looking gouge here. This just has a really shiny edge, and it is razor sharp. So that is ready for use on the lathe. And this is the 40 degree secondary bevel, and the 60 grinds really quickly and leaves a big bevel really quickly, so you might have to redo the 40 every now and then, but that's no big deal. So that's how you sharpen this bottom bowl gouge. Alright guys, so what's my final opinion on the gouge? I think it's a really great gouge. It retails right now for $90 US dollars, And also, just so you know, I was not paid to persuade. This is not a biased review, this is a completely honest review. I actually did some work for my grandpa and he purchased this gouge and gave it to me in exchange for that. So it's not, I wasn't sent to this or sponsored, and I'm gonna just be honest with all my reviews here. So overall though, I really like the gouge. I think it really performs great. Having the 5/8 size works just fine, because if you were to use a 1/2 inch bottom bowl gouge to clean up a bowl that's maybe bigger than 5 to 7 inches, somewhere in that range, you might encounter a little bit, you know, of catching where it's going to go like that and drop, because this, you know, requires quite a bit of overhang normally because you're working on just the bottom. And while you can get a curved tool rest that goes, you know, nice, doesn't always follow the sweep of the bowl, but it's normally pretty close, gets you closer. I prefer just a straight tool rest, and you're gonna have a little bit more overhang, but it works great. So overall, I think this is a really great tool. I have it at ground at 60, 50 works fine, and it's really easy to regrind. The 60 is actually blunter, so all you have to do really is just take 1 or 2 passes over at 60, and you're already at 60 if that's where you want to go. So I'll leave links to everything here. I'll leave links to this gouge down in the description below. If you liked the video, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. And until next time, guys, happy building.